So we have the new macOS Ventura upon us. It's in beta, announced at WWDC. I have installed it on my machine. I have put it to its paces. I'm just going to share some of my findings with you, and I hope you find this useful. So the most visible new feature in Ventura is the Stage Manager, which I can turn on from the Control Center, turn on from here. So I go up there, turn on Stage Manager, and it's now on. And with that, what is going to happen is that if I open a lot of windows, so let's just open Safari first of all, and let's also open Chrome. And as you can see, as soon as I open Chrome, Safari goes to the left and it looks in this, shows up in this sort of panel on the left hand side. And if I open another thing like VS Code, then Chrome also collapses to the left. And then if I open Spotify, then you get the ideas, right? So you get this little panel on the left side and all the apps start getting stacked, and you can get up to 5 over here. And of course, the basic functionality is that if I click on any one of these, then it places the active window in the center. So that's kind of the basic functionality. It lets you quickly switch between apps. You could also do it from here, of course, but this lets you do it from the side and it's a bit more visible and so on. But the real fun begins if you want to stack a couple of these windows together, right? So for example, instead of clicking on Safari, if I just drag it out here, and if I place the window over here, and let's just open up Engadget, for example, and if I just place them just the way I want them, like this maybe. Now, if I go to something else, this pair goes down and you can see the two icons over here and they stay together, and if I click on them, they come back as a pair and in their original positions. So that's kind of the basic functionality, and of course I can keep on adding more stuff to it, but you get the idea that you can quickly move around your workspaces, as it were, between these apps. Now, one thing I was worried about initially was the space taken up by this panel on the left. But that actually is not a problem, because if I move this window to the left, you can see that the panel kind of auto hides. And so it goes away. You can also go here, go into Stage Manager as an option, and you can just permanently turn this off, right? So now it's no longer visible, but if you go to the left, then they show up. So the space is not an issue. I'm just going to turn it back on for now so that it's more obvious what's going on. There you go. And so, yeah, I can actually resize this window to be edge to edge. And if I just do it like this, then every time I go to the left, the other pack will come up. But if I go back to Chrome now, it does show up as edge to edge. So the spacing is not an issue. It does not work with full screens, by the way. So if I actually go all the way now and make it full screen, then that's a completely different space. Moving to the left will not work. And as usual, your desktop has its own identity, and all of these things have to be sitting on the desktop. And now this is no longer there. But if I sort of go away from full screen, then we are back in the panel business, and you can just swap with them. How useful is this? Well, it would depend on your screen size, I think, and on your workflow. If I have a lot of windows in which I want to sort of drag and drop things from one to the other, like so, yeah, just get the link over here because it's VS Code, then this would be useful. If I had a bigger screen, it would be much more useful, I think. On a 13-inch MacBook Air, I really don't have that much screen real estate, so I typically go full screen anyways. But I can see people using it, and I think some use cases will find this very useful, and you can always turn it off if you don't like it. So that's kind of handy. One other interesting use case is if you have multiple windows in the same app. So let's just now take this and separate them again, and you can always separate windows like this. So I just drag it to the left and it's no longer tied to VS Code. And if I minimize this, so now you have all of these. If I now go to Safari, and let's make it a little bit bigger, and if I were to sort of open a new window here, so I say File, New Window, then I have two windows. And on this one, for example, let me just open CNN. And now if I were to go to some other app, you can see that the two Safari windows are stacked together. And if I click on this, I can just sort of cycle through them like this. So that's also handy. I guess if you have a lot of windows open, if you want to quickly take a look at them one by one, if you just want to keep them in a handy space, and of course you get the visual representation here as well, so that can be useful. And you can just go on. You can have 3 windows, or I suppose as many windows as you like. So let's just go to the Verge, and now you have a stack of 3. And again, if everything is minimized, now you have 3 windows over here. So you go to the first one, the second one, the third one, and back to the first one. So you're cycling through all the available windows one by one. And so that's kind of handy as well. So that's basically your Stage Manager. It's brand new. I think it needs a little refining in terms of its how it's used. One thing I wish Mac would add is some kind of a window resizing option. So because of all of this, the expectation is that I will sort of move these windows and place them in very precise locations on the screen. What would be very handy would be a way to, for example, take this window and make it 1/3 of my screen width, like something like this. And if I could do the same thing over here, then I could just place them much more easily. Right now I have to sort of drag them manually. There are third-party apps to do that. I use an app called Magnet. I did a video about that as well some time ago. It is not working with Ventura yet, but I fully expect that it will start working, and some third-party app will solve this problem. But really, the Mac needs a built-in window sort of resizing solution at this point, because that would really go well with this particular functionality. So that's Stage Manager in Ventura. So what else is new? Let's see. One small, I suppose, thing, but I personally enjoyed it, is the weather app. So the Mac finally has a weather app. Of course, the iPad has a weather app as well, and so does the Mac. And all of these, very nice looking app, by the way. All of these panels are clickable, and so you get these really nice graphs. I think they have a new charts kit out there, and they have a new weather kit out there for their Xcode, if you're into coding. And I think that's why all of these apps on the iOS, iPadOS, and macOS, I think they're sharing the same code base. They all look the same. They're all clickable right now. And so, this is very nice. If I go like this, then, Islamabad is looking good. Well, it's looking very hot. Toronto, it's night, hidden. And then you have Dubai and London and so on and so forth. So it's nice. It's not super useful, something that I will use all the time, but it's nice to have. Personally, really like it. Another small thing I've noticed is in the Spotlight, and for example, if I do an image search right now for, let's say, beluga whale, I get these images right in the search. Honestly, I'm not sure which is new. I think this is new because I haven't sort of tried this in a while. But either way, it's nice that you get these web images right there, and you get some other suggestions as well. Nothing earth-shatteringly new, but it's useful to have. Also, if you go to the Settings app, then the look and feel is different, right? So if I go to the Settings app now, let's just go to the General tab. Where is the General tab? Right here. Then you can see that it looks different, right? It looks completely different. It looks much more like an iOS kind of a thing. So everything lives in these new menus. It is taking me a little bit of time to get used to be honest with you, but I guess I'll get used to it. But yeah, the functionality is the same, but things live slightly differently now on the Settings app. And so again, it's, I think, part of the effort of making the iOS look and feel and the Mac look and feel sort of more unified. So it's no big deal. I can get used to it, I'm sure, and that's fine. The final new feature is the continuity camera, which lets you use an iPhone as a webcam on the Mac. Now that is super duper useful, and I actually used that in this particular video. In the beginning, when you saw the self shot, that was coming from the iPhone camera. It works beautifully, but I'm going to do a separate short video on that because I think it's a big feature. It's important, so look out for that video. In the meanwhile, the usual warnings apply. Do not install this on your main machine because it is a beta. Having said this, personally, I have not found any problems. It has not crashed on me in a couple of days, working just fine. But again, your mileage may vary. Thanks for watching, and I guess I'll see you in another video soon.